Have you ever looked at someone you love, your mom, your dad, maybe even your grandparent, and thought to yourself, they used to move around so easily? What happened? Maybe they used to walk around the garden every morning, or dance a little in the kitchen when their favorite old song came on. But lately, they've been sitting more, moving slower, needing help getting out of a chair, or saying things like, "My legs just feel tired all the time." And at first, you don't think much of it. They're just getting older, you tell yourself. It's probably normal. But then, one day, they trip, or they can't get up on their own, or they simply say, "I don't feel strong anymore." And that moment hits you like a wave. Because now it's not just about walking slower. It's about their independence, their safety, their dignity. Here's the part no one talks about. Some of the very foods we think are healthy, especially fruits, can quietly chip away at muscle strength in older adults. Yes, fruits. I know, that sounds backwards. But today, I want to open your eyes to something that could change how you support the people you love most. Because leg strength isn't just about walking. It's about living. It's about being able to stand up, shower alone, step outside without fear. And when the muscles go, it's not just the legs that weaken. It's confidence. It's joy. So here's what we're going to do. In this video, we're going to walk through 8 very common fruits that might be doing more harm than good for seniors, especially when it comes to muscle strength, energy, and leg stability. You'll learn why these fruits can be risky, what's really happening in the body when seniors eat them, and most importantly, what you can offer instead. This won't be fear-mongering. It's going to be real, clear, and full of practical advice. And by the end, you'll have the knowledge you need to protect someone you love from the kind of weakness that creeps up too quietly. So stay with me. And please, if you've seen changes like this in your parents, your grandparents, your older partner, comment, "I've seen it," down below. You're not alone in this. We're a community. And if you care about making the later years stronger, safer, and more full of life, hit that subscribe button. This is Elderly Care, and we're here for you. Let's start with one that's sitting in just about every fruit bowl in America: grapes. Now picture this. Your dad's sitting in his recliner, watching his favorite old Western and popping grapes into his mouth one after the other. He's always heard that fruits are good for him. And grapes? They're sweet, easy to chew, feel refreshing. He tells you, better than candy, right? But lately, his legs have been bothering him. More cramping at night. Less energy when he walks to the mailbox. He's even stopped helping out in the yard because, in his words, "My legs just don't have it anymore." You think it's just aging. But what if I told you? It might be the grapes. Here's what's going on behind the scenes. Grapes are high in natural sugars. Now, for a younger body, that might not be a big deal. But for seniors, especially those with slower metabolisms or borderline blood sugar issues, those sugars hit hard and fast. When blood sugar spikes quickly, the body responds with a burst of insulin. And then comes the crash. That crash doesn't just make someone feel tired. It can drain muscle energy, reduce circulation, and trigger that rubbery leg feeling so many older adults describe but can't quite explain. It's subtle, and that's what makes it dangerous. Because grapes seem harmless. They're fruit. They're not candy. But when eaten often, and in the quantities many seniors enjoy, they can quietly chip away at stability and strength. Most families don't realize this. We've been taught to think if it grows on a tree, it must be healthy. But when your body doesn't process sugar the way it used to, even healthy can become harmful. So what can you do? If grapes are favorite, and for many older folks, they are, try replacing them with a small handful of blueberries or blackberries instead. These berries are lower on the glycemic index, meaning they don't spike blood sugar as fast. Plus, they're loaded with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that actually support aging muscles and joints. And this isn't about restriction. It's about protection. We're not here to take joy away. We're here to add years with quality. But grapes, they're not even the worst offender. There's another fruit that's just as common, even more beloved, and when it's ripe, it might as well be pure sugar. Now let's talk about one of the most trusted go-to fruits in the world, bananas. You've probably seen this 100 times. Your aunt wakes up, makes her tea, and without thinking twice, grabs a banana from the counter. She says it's good for potassium, keeps away the leg cramps. She's heard it from doctors, from magazines, from morning shows. And hey, it sounds right. Potassium does help with muscles, right? But then, later that same morning, she goes for a short walk, and her legs feel weak. She needs to sit down after just a few minutes. She tells you, "My legs feel like jelly today." And you wonder, how can something so healthy leave her feeling so depleted? Here's the truth. It's not the potassium. It's the sugar. See, when bananas get ripe, especially the soft, spotty ones most seniors prefer, because they're easier to chew, they become little sugar bombs. That sugar rush enters the bloodstream fast. And just like with grapes, the insulin comes rushing in behind it, followed by the crash. And when that crash hits, the energy disappears. The muscles feel empty. The legs lose their drive. So even though your aunt is doing what she thinks is right, reaching for a fruit that's natural, easy, and rich in potassium, she's unknowingly setting herself up for an energy dip that hits hardest right where she needs strength most. Now here's the part that's often misunderstood. We assume potassium alone will protect the legs. But nutrients don't work in isolation. If they're delivered in a wave of sugar, especially for aging bodies that don't manage insulin as well, the benefit gets buried under the crash. So what should you do instead? If your loved one enjoys bananas, and let's be honest, they're comforting, familiar, and soft, don't take them away. But pair them. Slice half a banana and serve it with a spoon of Greek yogurt, or a small handful of nuts. That protein and fat slows down how fast the sugar hits the bloodstream. It stretches the energy out. It gives the body a chance to use the potassium and hold on to its strength. It's not about fear, it's about balance. Simple tweaks like this can turn something draining into something strengthening. And speaking of sweetness, there's one fruit that seniors love in the summertime, especially at cookouts, reunions, and family barbecues. It's hydrating, yes. It tastes refreshing, but under the surface, it almost acts like candy. Now picture this. It's a sunny afternoon, the kind your family looks forward to all year. You're at the park, there's a soft breeze, folding chairs are set up in a circle, and someone brings out a giant bowl of cold watermelon. Your grandpa's eyes light up. He loves watermelon. Always has. He takes a big slice, the juice runs down his chin a little, and he chuckles the way he used to. It's sweet, it's cooling, it's nostalgic. He eats 2 slices, maybe 3, but not long after, he leans back in his chair, rubs his head, and says something like, "I'm feeling a little woozy," or "My legs feel weak again." You might think it's the heat, the long day. But here's what's really going on. Watermelon is made up of more than 90% water. Yes, it hydrates, but it's also high on a glycemic index, which means it raises blood sugar quickly. And what happens when a senior's blood sugar rises too fast? Just like with grapes and bananas, the body launches insulin to compensate. Then comes the drop, and with it comes dizziness, fatigue, and that rubbery leg feeling. But there's something more subtle here too. That water content, as hydrating as it sounds, can actually flush out key minerals, especially electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And when those minerals get too low in an older adult, the muscles suffer, cramping, shakiness, instability. Even the simple act of standing up becomes harder. You see, we've been taught that hydration is always good, and it is important. But when hydration comes with sugar, and without the minerals to go with it, the balance gets thrown off. So what can you do? You don't have to ban watermelon. But it should never be eaten alone, especially not by seniors who already struggle with strength or stability. If you know watermelon coming out of the picnic, make sure there's something salty and mineral-rich nearby, like a few almonds, a slice of cheese, or even a couple of olives. These foods help replenish the very minerals that watermelon can flush out. It's about supporting the body, not just refreshing it. Because when muscles are already aging, they don't just need water, they need stability. Now we've talked about sugary fruits, watery fruits, but let's move into new territory. The next fruit? It's tropical, vibrant, and often labeled as superfood. But behind its golden color hides something a lot of people don't expect. An acid-heavy effect on the body and trouble for aging joints. Now let's turn to a fruit that feels like sunshine in a bowl, pineapple. She starts her mornings the same way, every day. A glass of cold pineapple juice. She says it wakes her up, makes her feel tropical alive. She read somewhere it's good for inflammation. And in a way, she's right. Pineapple contains something called bromelain, an enzyme that can help the body process inflammation. But lately, she's been mentioning something else. Her knees feel tight, stiff, a little sore when she gets out of bed. She chalks it up to age, maybe the weather, maybe just sleeping funny. But what if the pineapple is playing a bigger role than anyone realizes? Here's the thing about pineapple. It's one of the most acidic fruits we eat regularly. That acidity doesn't just affect the mouth, it moves through the whole system. For some older adults, it can irritate the joints subtly and gradually. It can even affect how well the body absorbs calcium, which is already a critical issue in aging bones. And the bromelain? Yes, in small, balanced amounts, it can be helpful. But too much, especially in concentrated forms like juice, can become too harsh. Instead of calming inflammation, it can cause irritation, especially in joints that are already worn down from years of use, or even arthritis. The biggest misconception here? That pineapple is automatically healing. We tend to think anything labeled anti-inflammatory is good in any amount. But that's not how the body works. It needs balance. So what's the best way to enjoy pineapple? If it's enjoyed at all, keep the portion small, no more than a few chunks at a time, and try to avoid the juice altogether. Juice strips away fiber, condenses sugar, and hits the system too fast, especially in the morning when the body is still waking up. And if you're going to serve pineapple, pair it with something alkalizing. A handful of spinach, a few slices of cucumber, even a hard-boiled egg. These calm the acidity, give the body something solid to hold on to, and help support the muscles and bones instead of irritating them. This doesn't mean pineapple is bad. It means context matters. Because as we age, it's not just about what's on the plate, it's how it interacts with what the body can no longer do as easily. Let's keep going. The next fruit is rich, sweet, and loved in smoothies. But it's hiding a sneaky issue that drains energy fast, especially in seniors who are already walking a delicate line. Let's talk about a fruit that feels like vacation. Mango. He's got his morning routine down. He peels a mango, throws in the blender with a bit of juice, maybe some ice, sometimes even a banana. It's bright, it's creamy, it tastes like the islands. He tells you, I feel healthy when I drink this. And you want to believe it because it sounds like all the right choices. Natural, colorful, full of vitamins. But here's the strange part. By midday, he's sluggish. His legs feel sore, achy. Sometimes he says it's like his muscles are made of stone, like they've given up on him. And you wonder, how can something that looks so healthy leave him feeling so heavy? The answer lies in how mango behaves inside the body, especially an aging one. Mangoes are packed with fructose, a type of sugar that hits the liver first and hits hard. Unlike glucose, which the body uses more directly, fructose takes a detour through the liver and creates insulin spikes that don't provide clean, sustained energy. And to make it worse, mango is relatively low in fiber, so there's nothing to slow down that sugar rush. For seniors, where insulin response is slower and more fragile, this kind of quick sugar hit can lead to what I call invisible fatigue. It doesn't show up right away, but 2 hours later, the legs start to ache. The energy dips, and your loved one blames age, when really it's chemistry. The big misconception here? That tropical fruits mean tropical health. We associate mangoes with sunshine, with antioxidants, with vibrant skin. But all of that is irrelevant if the body can't process the sugar load. So how do you fix it? Don't take away the mango completely, but pair it smartly. Add half a pear or a few slices of apple with skin, something that brings fiber into the mix. Fiber acts like a dam, slowing the release of sugar into the bloodstream and helping the body use it in a more steady, controlled way. You could also add a scoop of protein, plain Greek yogurt, nut butter, even a sprinkle of chia seeds. These additions help transform that smoothie from a sugar spike into real fuel. Because the goal isn't to ban fruit, it's to make it work for the older body, not against it. And now, we've been talking about sweetness, sugar, spikes. But what if I told you there's a fruit that sounds like a health superstar? One that's praised constantly for its benefits. but inside, it's quietly causing problems, especially in the legs. This next one might surprise you. Next up is a fruit that carries a reputation like a badge of honor: cherries. You've probably heard it from your grandma. I eat cherries every night. They're good for my joints. And to be fair, there's truth in that. Cherries, especially tart cherries, are rich in anthocyanins, natural compounds known to reduce inflammation. So yes, they can help with stiffness and pain, especially in conditions like arthritis. But here's the problem. She's also been complaining about leg cramps. Sometimes at night, sometimes during short walks. She stretches more, drinks water, maybe adds some potassium, but nothing seems to help. And no one suspects the bowl of cherries. You see, cherries, especially in larger amounts, contain something most people don't think about: sorbitol. It's a sugar alcohol that naturally occurs in some fruits. In small amounts, it's harmless. But in older adults, especially those with slower digestion or kidney issues, sorbitol can throw off electrolyte balance. It draws water into the gut. It can cause bloating, gas, and over time, deplete minerals like magnesium and sodium that muscles depend on to function properly. So while cherries might be helping the joints, they could be silently draining the legs of the minerals they need to stay strong and stable. And that's the tough part about aging bodies. One thing helps, another thing harms. Balance becomes everything. Here's where the misconception gets tricky. We hear that something is anti-inflammatory, and we assume it's safe in large amounts. But nothing works like that. Not in a body that's already managing a dozen different changes at once. So if cherries are part of your loved one's routine, and they can be, keep them in small portions. Or better yet, swap that nightly bowl for a few sips of unsweetened tart cherry juice, just a couple ounces. You'll still get the anti-inflammatory benefit, but without the excess sorbitol or the sugar overload. Because even with the right foods, the dose makes the difference. And now, we're nearing the end. But I saved two of the most surprising fruits for last. One of them fills breakfast tables across the country. The other hides in plain sight, snuck into pockets and purses as a healthy snack. Both, they're quietly weakening the very thing we're trying to protect. Let's take a moment to talk about something that shows up on just about every breakfast table in America: oranges, or more specifically, orange juice. She pours herself a glass every morning. It's part of her ritual. She says it helps her feel fresh, gives her a little boost. It's full of vitamin C, and she remembers her doctor once said that was good for immunity. And you're glad to see her eating something, drinking something. She's trying. She's doing her best. But over time, you start to notice something. She gets dizzy when she stands up. She walks into a room and has to lean on the wall for a second. She tells you it's nothing, just getting older. But what if it's not just age? What if it's the juice? Here's what's happening in the body. Orange juice, especially the store-bought kind, is stripped of most of its fiber. What's left behind is liquid sugar. Natural, yes, but still sugar. And for a senior body, that sugar goes in fast. It raises blood glucose quickly, then drops it just as fast. That crash can make anyone feel weak, but in seniors, it hits the legs first. You see it in the slower steps, in the need to sit down more often, in the fear of standing too quickly. And this is where the misunderstanding lies. We think vitamin C, that's healthy, and it is. But vitamin C alone doesn't protect you from the effects of rapid sugar absorption. It doesn't stop the fatigue. It doesn't shield the muscles from weakening. So what should we do instead? The answer is beautifully simple. Eat the whole orange. When you eat the fruit instead of drinking the juice, the fiber slows down how quickly the sugar enters the bloodstream. It gives the body a chance to handle it, to use it. It also provides bulk, which helps with digestion, and lets that vitamin C do its work without robbing energy in the process. And if she still loves the ritual of something citrus in the morning, try adding a slice of orange to a small bowl of oats or a cup of plain yogurt. It'll give her the flavor she loves and give her legs the support they deserve. Now we've come to it, the last fruit on our list. It's one of the most trusted snacks out there. Compact, portable, shelf-stable. People tuck it into purses, travel bags, and lunch boxes, thinking they're doing something good. But for older bodies, this one might be the stealthiest threat of all. Now here we are, the final fruit on our list. And this one might just be the sneakiest. Because it's tiny, it's convenient. It hides in kitchen jars, pocket zippers, desk drawers. And it's often handed to seniors with the best of intentions. Dried fruit. You've seen it. She keeps a little cup of raisins in the cupboard. He has a zip-top bag of dried apricots tucked into his glove compartment. They say it helps keep their energy up. It's a natural snack, they say, and it's so easy. No peeling, no slicing, no mess. But here's the thing. That little handful, it might be packing more sugar than an entire candy bar. Because when you take water out of fruit, you shrink it, but you don't shrink the sugar. What you end up with is something highly concentrated, a compact bite of sweetness that hits the bloodstream hard and fast. And in older adults, where metabolism is slower and circulation is already under stress, that sugar load can do real damage. You start to see it in the small struggles. She used to go up the stairs without holding the railing. Now she pauses halfway. He used to get out of the car without thinking. Now he has to pull himself up slowly. You chalk it up to aging, but it's also chemistry. And it's not just the sugar. Many dried fruits, especially those that look shiny, soft, or perfectly preserved, are treated with sulfites. These preservatives can impact circulation and cause inflammatory reactions in people with sensitivities, especially in the legs and lower body. For seniors, where blood flow is already a delicate thing, that extra burden can push the muscles past their limit. Here's where the misconception lies. We think small size means small impact, but when it comes to dried fruit, the impact is dense, direct, and draining. So what can you do? If dried fruit is a must, if they love it and it's become part of their comfort routine, don't remove it completely, but scale it down. 1 tablespoon, that's all. Pair it with a full glass of water, or better yet, eat it with protein or fat, a piece of cheese, a boiled egg, a few almonds. That way, it slows down the sugar, eases digestion, and supports rather than strains the legs. Because in older adults, every small decision adds up. Every bite is either giving them strength or quietly taking it away. And now that we've walked through these 8 fruits, 8 things you might see every day in the homes of people you love, let's take a breath together and talk about what this all really means. For you and for them. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever witness. Watching someone you love, someone who once carried you, who once danced in the kitchen, who once walked for hours without thinking. Slow down, struggle to rise from a chair. Look at a staircase like it's a mountain. And maybe you felt that helplessness. You offer a hand. You suggest a walk. You buy them the vitamins. But deep down you wonder, is this just what getting old looks like? Is this the part where we all fade? But what if it's not? What if part of what's stealing their strength isn't time itself, but small, everyday choices? Like a fruit that spikes their sugar, a juice that drops their energy, a snack that looks healthy but slowly chips away at the very muscles they need to keep going? Because this isn't just about diet. This is about freedom. The freedom to stand without help. The confidence to walk across the room without fear of falling. The dignity of doing things on their own, without shame, without apology. And here's where it gets powerful. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, if you've been watching someone fade and wondering if there's anything you can do, I want you to hear this. You can. Even one small shift, replacing juice with whole fruit, swapping a handful of dried fruit for a few berries, pairing sweetness with something grounding, can give their body just enough support to hold on to strength that would otherwise slip away. You're not helpless. You're not too late. You're not just watching the inevitable. You're shaping it. And that's the quiet truth about caring for someone in their later years. It's not about fixing everything. It's about those small wins. The plate you offer, the glass you refill, the moment you understand something that used to confuse you. Each small change, it adds up to more strength, more steadiness, more life. Because this part of their life, it matters. And you're making it better. So stay with me now. Let's pull everything together and talk about the simple steps you can take starting today. So, let's take a moment to look back. Today, we walked through 8 everyday fruits that may be doing more harm than good when it comes to leg strength in seniors. We started with grapes, sneaky little sugar bombs that spike energy, then crash it just when older legs need it most. Then bananas. Yes, full of potassium, but overripe and unbalanced. They can leave the body more drained than fueled. Watermelon, deceptively light, but capable of flushing out the minerals that keep muscles working. Pineapple, tropical and acidic, which when overdone, can quietly irritate joints and slow calcium absorption. Mangoes, smooth and sunny, but rich in fructose and short on fiber, leading to the kind of fatigue that sneaks up on a walk to the mailbox. Cherries, full of promise for inflammation, yet hiding sorbitol that can throw off mineral balance and leave the legs cramping. Then oranges and orange juice, trusted and familiar, but when stripped of fiber, become a roller coaster for blood sugar and muscle energy. And finally, dried fruit. Those tiny, innocent handfuls of raisins and apricots that pack a powerful punch of sugar and preservatives that silently wear the body down. 8 fruits, each one sounding healthy on the surface, each one with a deeper story underneath. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these surprised you the most? Was there one you never would have expected? Or maybe there's a fruit you've always wondered about, but didn't hear mentioned today. Drop it in the comments. I read what you share, and sometimes the questions you ask, they become the very next video we make. And if this opened your eyes, even just a little, if it made you think differently about what you see on the plate, or in the grocery cart, or in your loved one's hand, then I'd love for you to stick around. This is Elderly Care, and here we don't just talk about aging. We talk about living well in those final chapters, with clarity, with compassion, and with the kind of practical insight that makes a real difference. So go ahead, tap subscribe. It's free, it's simple, and it means the next time we release something that could help someone you love, you won't miss it. Thank you for trusting me with your time, for caring enough to learn, and for being part of a community that knows aging isn't an ending. It's just a new kind of beginning. Stay strong, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.